In this video, we break down how to choose a good MSP, what separates strong providers from weak ones, and how to avoid costly mistakes. Most businesses shop for a managed service provider the same way they shop for office equipment. They compare prices, ask for what is included, and assume the rest will work itself out. But an MSP is not a piece of equipment. An MSP becomes part of your operations. They often have administrative access to your systems, visibility into your data, and responsibility during outages, security incidences, and recovery. That means choosing an MSP is not a purchasing decision, it's a trust decision. Many companies do not realize they hired the wrong MSP until things don't go according to plan. An outage drags on longer than expected, a security issue is handled poorly, support becomes slow or inconsistent. By the time these problems show up, switching providers is painful and disruptive. The key to choosing a good MSP is understanding what you are actually hiring them to do. A good MSP does three things at the same time. They reduce risk, they reduce downtime, and they reduce chaos. If a provider cannot clearly do all three, you will feel it in constant emergencies, unclear communication, surprise cost, and a general sense that IT is always reactive. That is the lens this entire decision should be viewed through. The first thing to look for is alignment. Not alignment on tools, but alignment on outcomes. A good MSP does not start by selling software or service packages, they start by asking questions. They want to understand how your business works, which systems are critical, what downtime would actually cost you, and what risks keep leadership up at night. If a provider jumps straight to per-user pricing without understanding your environment, that usually means the solution is predefined regardless of fit. Alignment becomes clear when you ask a simple question. If we were working together a year from now, what would success look like? A strong MSP will talk about measurable outcomes, uptime, response times, patch compliance, backup testing, security posture, and business continuity, not vague promises like peace of mind or fewer tickets. Once alignment is established, the next thing to evaluate is security maturity. This is where many MSPs sound confident, but only a few are actually disciplined. Security maturity is not about buzzwords. It is about controlling blast radius. If something goes wrong, how far can it spread, and how quickly can it be contained? Because MSPs often manage multiple environments, poor security practices do not just affect one customer, they can affect many. A mature MSP treats access as a serious responsibility. They use separate administrative accounts. They enforce multi-factor authentication everywhere, including for technicians. They limit who can access what, and they monitor that access. They can clearly explain how accounts are created and how access is removed when staff leave, and how activity is logged and reviewed. And don't worry, you do not need to be technical to evaluate this. You just need to listen for clarity. If security answers sound vague, overly confident, or rely on marketing language instead of real controls, that is a warning sign. From there, security naturally connects to service design. This is where strategy becomes day-to-day reality. A good MSP has a clearly defined support model, how tickets are submitted, how they are prioritized, what response times look like, what escalation looks like, what happens after hours, what is included in the agreement, and what is considered project work. Ambiguity in these areas is one of the biggest sources of frustration for businesses. Strong MSPs are transparent about this because their operations are repeatable. They can show examples of monthly reports. They can explain how trends are tracked. Not only that, but they can explain how recurring issues are identified and addressed, not just fixed one at a time. Documentation plays a critical role here. It is invisible when things are working and invaluable when they are not. A good MSP documents your environment thoroughly. Systems, configurations, credentials, and processes. Documentation determines how fast issues are resolved, how smoothly onboarding and offboarding happens, and how resilient the relationship is when staff changes on either side. The next thing to figure out is what proof they have. Confidence is not enough. You want evidence that the MSP operates the way they claim. This can be as simple as references from similar organizations, examples of incidents they have handled, and explanations of what they have learned and improved afterward. A strong MSP is not afraid to talk about failures because they have processes to learn from them. They can explain how incidents are handled, how communication works during an outage, and how clients are kept informed. Contracts also matter here, not because of fine print, but because they reflect how accountability is shared. A well-structured MSP agreement should clearly define responsibilities, response times, and offboarding expectations. They can explain how data, access, and documentation are returned if the relationship ever ends. Planning for a clean offboarding process is a sign of maturity, not lack of confidence. There are also clear red flags to watch for. Promises of guaranteed compliance are one of them. No MSP can guarantee compliance because compliance depends on how the business operates. What a good MSP can do is provide an environment that supports compliance requirements, document controls, and help close gaps. Over-reliance on a single technician is another concern. If everything depends on one person, you are buying a personality, not a process. Mature MSPs rely on documentation, standards, and team coverage. At its core, choosing a good MSP is about choosing stability. A good MSP does not just fix issues. They reduce risk by managing access responsibly. They reduce downtime through monitoring, patch discipline, and tested recovery. And they reduce chaos through clear communication, defined processes, and reporting that keeps leadership informed. In fact, if you want to talk to a great MSP, then reach out to us here at HRCT. Yes, shameless plug, I know, but you can talk to us commitment-free. Links in the description. Thanks for watching.